Hey, lovely people, I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. Is Hito Mane Kozaru or Zaru the best book for beginners in Japanese? Let's find out. Now, Hito Mane Kozaru is known nowadays as Osaru no Jōji. In English, it's known as Curious George, and this specific one is known as Curious George Takes a Job. So, about a year ago, I have been browsing through my partner's bookshelf, and this is what I stumbled upon. One of the books I've stumbled upon. There are a few. There are a few others there, but this is the first one that I have sat down and read last week. Now, at the time when I looked at it, and my partner is Japanese, by the way, if you haven't yet guessed, at the time I looked at it and I'm like, I have to read more manga. I cannot read so much text. And, you know, in case if you're laughing, what? It's a kid's book with pictures. What are you talking about? There is actually quite a bit of text there, right? There is quite a bit of text. So I looked at it and I'm like, no, I gotta read more manga before I can tackle this. Was this a good decision? Maybe, maybe not. But the point is that last week I've sat down and this was the first ever book in Japanese I have finished fully. It's a Curious George book, but it still felt like a huge accomplishment. So, tackling the elephant in the room, or the mankei, it's a kid's picture book. You will not be enjoying it for plot, for deep characters, for plot twists, no. What you will be enjoying it for is, holy freaking guacamole, I can read this, and I can understand this, and this is in Japanese. Also, the sense of accomplishment you'll get after finishing it is undescribable. It is really, really fantastic. I gotta say, it's just amazing. So, putting this aside, one thing I have to say, while of course the story and plot is whatever, it's a kid's book, pacing moved the story along so well. It makes leaps where it needs to, it keeps children's attention engaged, cutting scenes just at the right time. In other words, it's perfect for adult brains overdosed on social media. Dopamine. I was never bored with this book. Ever. It kept me engaged. So I gotta stress that, because some people might be like, oh, it's a kid's book, it's gonna be boring. No, it wasn't. But that brings us to what actually level of learner is this book designed for, and is it difficult? So what about kanji? What about furigana? Tell me. Well, let me tell you. In my opinion, this book is suitable for beginner to advanced beginner in Japanese. Beginner if your reading is on par with your listening. Advanced beginner is if your reading is below your listening ability. For me, I would like to say that my listening is far outstrips my reading, especially kanji ability. So I really need to go back and read the easiest things possible. Even though I read manga, this is a bit different, and we'll tackle the differences in a moment. But talking about kanji and talking about hiragana, katakana, furigana, there are only 6 kanji in this book, and I'll put them up on the screen right now. It's hi, ich, yon, ko, ki, and dai. Very simple kanji. Most of the kanji would have furigana first time you encounter them. The only kanji that do not have that are numbers. So ich and yon does not have furigana. Even with that, it is probably the best way to ease yourself in to learning kanji. Now, there are some kanji there that only have furigana the first time they're introduced, and I think that applies to ki, to the tree, right? One peculiarity is there is no katakana. So every time there is a katakana word, it is written in hiragana and is bolded. And let me showcase that from the first page. So have a look here. See the way it's Jōji, right? So it's the main character. Yeah, so it's written in bolded hiragana, and the rest of the text is just in hiragana. So every time you encounter a bolded text, you know it's a foreign word and should have been katakana, but they haven't done it. So if you haven't yet learned katakana, this would be the perfect book for you even though what you're doing, go and learn katakana. Right? Okay. So this is a kid's book designed for Japanese kids, so the language is not very difficult. However, I gotta stress, it is designed for Japanese kids, right? It's not designed for foreigners learning Japanese. So, we're saying that there were a number of words that I didn't know. Yeah, it was a surprise to me as well, but I didn't know them. And more than that, there are a number of sentences that I knew every single word in, but I still couldn't understand the full nuance of the meaning. So, and I think that stemmed from the fact that when I listen, and my listening ability is much better, let's say podcasts, anime, movies, etc., I listen to previous sentence, to the next sentence, to the flow of the talking, and I can grasp the gist of the meaning. Here, I usually read a sentence and I try to understand it, which can be an issue because my reading is so slow, so I do not look ahead. So, which brings me to the next point, how the visuals aid in understanding and how I would approach this book if I was to read it again. So how can I actually have approached this book already when I was reading it for the first time? So, visuals are not like in manga, so I want to make this distinction. There are no frames that each frame convey a certain meaning on top of a written word. This is an illustration, gives you the gist of what's happening in the scene, but it does only that. In saying that, I have gone through the book without reading anything, just looking at the pictures, and I was able to understand how the plot evolved and what the gist of the plot, right? So, how I would approach this is in the following way. I would look at the picture, right? So, let's have a look at this. I would look at the picture first, right? Both sides. I would take it in, and then I would read the text. After having read the text, I would go back and look at the picture again, aiding my understanding. Now, I'm not saying don't try and look upwards. If you feel like there is one word that basically locks the meaning of the sentence for you, look it up. Look it up, get your comprehensible input, right? However, do not look up every single word you don't know, especially if you don't know a lot of words. Try and get the flow of it going. Try and kind of see if you can get the gist of the sentence, maybe the gist of two sentences, maybe a gist of paragraph. In summary, clocking in at about 50 pages, with most of them taken by illustrations, only 6 kanji with furigana present, for most of them apart from the numbers, no katakana, simple plot that is perfectly paced to keep situations changing, and walk-up and grammar that for the most part are quite simple, I would say this is one of the better books to immerse in Japanese, and I would read it before you outgrow it out of 10 score. Also, I want to give a shout out to an absolute legend, Sasha. Thank you for your support on Ko-fi. Really, truly appreciate it. It really helps. Thank you so much, dude. Also, if you have any book recommendations yourselves, let me know in the comments, whether it is for beginner, advanced beginners, or maybe even lower intermediate. Share the love. We can all use more resources to immerse in. And talking of resources, if you are a complete beginner and want to immerse but know zero Japanese, watch this video next. I will give you exactly the YouTube channels you need to be watching to immerse when you know nothing. それじゃ、またね。バイバイ。